going to start with the aged racehorses. Sometimes we do this, work our way backwards. I'm hesitant to make my opening video yet today, as we do have some races this afternoon. Blue Ventura's racing in the Stallion Series, and we also have one of the biggest races thus far, definitely on the sophomore docket this year, with Time Is On My Side racing in the Adios Elimination. Obviously, it's an uphill battle, but we'll do what we can and hope for the best. This is one of the times hope is acceptable in entering and racing horses. So, Brace for Landing. Man, I've been waiting a long time for this horse to start putting it all together. And although he's in tough on Monday here, you can use these sunglasses. If I catch you leaving them on, like, lenses down, it'll be the last time you ever put a pair of my glasses on your head. Get you. So Brace for Landing, I'm waiting a long time for this horse to put it all together and start to come around, right? Start to be the Brace for Landing we thought we bought, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever we bought him. But I'll tell you what, a talented trotter doesn't take long putting money together, and man, he's been great to watch. Now, admittedly, he's in very tough on Monday, but definitely a race that will probably help continue to stretch him out. I don't think even he realizes how fast he is, and sometimes you get him in with a couple of horses that'll really stretch him. If he follows, if he wants to do his work, if he is eager enough, sometimes it'll help stretch them out. So interested to see how that plays out. Collector S raced good last night, but it's been off 2 weeks, right? You can't just be off 2 weeks and then jump right back in the saddle like no big deal, who cares? And when it comes to Collector S, I think race if we can get him back in next week. Obviously, that'll play a big role in him. Kenobi raced good his last 2 starts. You know, talking about getting back in the saddle, so to speak. Here's a horse that had a nasty foot abscess and then come back. I think fourth, if I'm not mistaken, but raced really, really well both times. Save America's in tough tonight. Scotty told me he's in real tough tonight, but you know what? Again, another situation where we're going to get to see what kind of horse he is, and he's back on Lasix tonight, and that is the biggest component of him racing at the Meadowlands tonight. Was the only place we could get him in. We could put him on Lasix. I could explain the entirety of the situation to you. Well, here, I'll do it quickly. In New York, you have to sit after you come off Lasix to go back on Lasix. You have to sit a while, right? I guess it's just a blanket way to protect the horse. They're saying, well, he was bleeding, you put him on Lasix and took him off Lasix, he bled again. Let's just give him some time off. That isn't the case here. The case is he's very minor. A couple of spots of blood here and there, but when you look at his overall racing, it just appears to me that Lasix would probably help. That's not to say that it will. Certainly, I don't think isn't going to hurt him. He spent quite a long time on it. But to get him back on it, we didn't want to wait that time for it wasn't like he was badly bleeding. And then again, you know, this is where the bureaucracy of it all comes in. In New Jersey, he could just go right back on Lasix. So that is where we opted to enter him in to go. So now he is entered in the Lasix program across the board as of tonight after he races at the Meadowlands. Spitfire Overseas is back jogging now. Happy. We gave him the time off that we were waiting. Whenever he tells us he needs a little break, we'll give it to him. He told us, we listened, and he went out. Now he's back in, he's back jogging. But more, what, honey?
I think they put the pimple on you.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
So it's spicy.
Yeah, it's just a sausage, honey. Eat it all up. It's good. So, the biggest, talk about components of things. Spitfire Overseas, we didn't want to race him in the hot part of the summer. So giving him the time off when the heat started to roll in till the time he's back, ready to go, ready to race, ready to qualify, the majority of that heat should be dissipated, or at least a big chunk of it. Tactical Mounds is just shot to the head of the class. Best horse we've ever had. There's no comparison now. 49-4 as a trotter, 49-4 as a trotting mare, a 4-year-old. An impressive individual, that is for sure. Texong Soprano, same type of thing as Spitfire Overseas, just some time off. He'll be back soon enough. All gas, no brakes. So happy to see this horse come back to life. I wish James hadn't jumped off him on Monday. I'll discuss that with him today. in private. But I wish he had stayed with the horse on Monday, because he's sitting on a big mile. And not to say that he can't come through that mile for Tyler, but you're asking Tyler to jump up and drive a horse that he doesn't know at all. That aside from his last 3, had some sketchy races before it. There's some trepidation that will go along with that, and hopefully they can both 1, drive well, and 2, race well on Monday. And that's not to say Tyler won't. He's a great driver. Just it's hard to get a feel for a horse in such a short period of time. Greatest ending. I'm interested to see what Billy Davis can do with the big guy on Sunday night. JK Victory. I talked about him in my video today. You can't take him off the gate. You know that. Was it a suicide mission to be left with him the other night? I don't know. That's a question only Devin can answer. But I know one thing. Taking him off the gate, I would suggest, looking at his race lines when done so, is almost a certain loss. So, again, without knowing everything that went into the other night, I would like to see him go forward off the gate, but we'll see how things go next week. Looks like Money, exact same situation as Spitfire Overseas and Texon. Now, he hasn't had the rigorous schedule that they have, but they weren't injured also. So again, the horse just seemed like he was a little bit flat. Was it the heat? Was it the summer? Was it a number of things? Don't know. Whatever it was, we'll nip it in the bud by just giving him a little break. He'll be back probably racing by mid to end September, I think, which is good, because we want him good for the fall and the winter. Series Dragon has been racing good, a first and a second since he got to the Meadows. Just a little bit of class relief and consistency. It's frustrating for a horse when you're up against horses you can't beat. And every week in those condition races, you always run into 1 or 2 kind of buzzsaws, right? Those gatekeepers that make it hard on you. And when you're in a claimer, when you're in a condition claimer situation, it's consistency, the same every week. So if there really isn't that buzzsaw in there, if anything, he's one of the buzzsaws. So it's a good spot for him to be. He only fits it for 2 more wins. But if he keeps racing the way he is, I don't see a problem with him fitting in many of the condition classes that are offered at the Meadows or other places. I thought the horse has been racing very, very well. 3 Point Blue Chip. I don't like giving this guy a week off. He's tough to train. And then I would say when he got tossed last week, obviously we get set back. But down by the wire, he was kind of pulling up a little bit on me. And was it because he'd missed a week? You can't train him real hard, right? He's not the easiest horse to train, because he refuses to train hard, unless you're following another horse. But if you think you're going to go out and just go a mile and 25 to 30 with a nice, easy, light training mile, that's not going to happen. He's just like that. He's a frustrating horse sometimes. So frustrated that he missed a week. And if he continues to miss weeks, you'll probably just see him show up at Mohawk, where he should be able to get in every week. I'm just hesitant to do so for the same reasons. I don't want to run into a place where you're constantly racing, where Yo Mister, you'll go out and race good a couple of starts and then run into they'll end up in the backup class or something like that. Now, I can't complain about Yo Mister this week. He's in the 18,000 class. I don't quite understand why he's 10-1 and why James picked off him. I'm sure there's some tough horses in there. I didn't look at the list. But man, you'd think the 18,000 class that he would want to be one of the bigger fish in a smaller pond. But look at the morning line odds, that is not the case this week. So that's why I'm a little hesitant with 3 Point Blue Chip, just to race him at Mohawk. It's easier racing at the Meadows, and until he gets out of that class, where he kind of was out of. He was out of for a few minutes last week. Until he gets out of there and there's a necessity to make a decision, then I think we'll just table that for now. Yo Mister, as I just talked about, he's been racing good. Not an open trotter, but beat some good horses the other day, and I was a little surprised he's higher odds this week. No Free Lunch, 2 weeks off coming into tonight. It didn't work well for Collector last night, but Collector and No Free Lunch are 2 different animals. No Free Lunch can come in a little bit short. So long as he gets a good trip, I'm sure he'll be just fine. Stay Close. There's a perfect example. There's a horse that's struggling to get in a class anywhere. Northfield will only offer the open for him right now. The Meadows class did not go, so hopefully it's pushed over till Thursday rather than just scrapped. And at Mohawk, I think that would just be that would be a mistake, I believe, sending him back to Mohawk. I've toyed and talked about Minnesota, and I do want to get a horse or 2 out there. I did want to get a horse or 2 out there. There's still 2 months left in the meet. And Stay Close could be that horse, I suppose. I just don't want him in a situation where he's stuffed into an open anywhere. You know, if we could find a place where he could race the numbers of 6, numbers 8, 12, and then price him, I think that would be ideal. We're in that situation now. We're down near that situation right now. So that's what I would like to do right now with him. Kings County has been racing good, and with Kings County, I think he'll do well from here on out for us when it comes to racing. As long as we can just keep him. Oh, I'm so lucky. That police officer did not get me on the radar. I looked down. I was speeding a little bit. It's a very kind Saturday. Could have been a pricey one. Well, he's not coming. Whew, that was lucky. That's why we have cruise control. I guess I wasn't flying, but I was definitely going fast enough to get pulled over. 83 and a 70. Not smart. Kings County has been racing great. That mile and 53, I want to believe that mile right there will shake some of that old rust off him. He's a funny horse. You know, when he's in a funk, he's very ordinary. But when he's on his game and he starts to get to the position where he's on his game, he can get really good. He can get on a heater, and when he's a good horse. Now, I don't want to fall into the situation where I believe, Kings County's on his way back. The Kings County days of past are gone. That certainly does not mean that he is not a super effective horse, because he is. And he certainly felt like he was coming forward in his last race. So one can only hope. You know, and he's another horse. Week off here or there, that doesn't bother him. He's a different kind of animal. He's got a big set of lungs, and a little bit of break, especially coming off a razor-sharp performance, won't hurt him at all. Delicious Stone DK, they were training today. You know, I lost track of time this morning. I meant to go to the barn at Northfield. We get home late last night from Lexington. Jason and Jason, we have fewer horses in Northfield right now because everybody just dispersed everywhere. So they have everything under control. There wasn't any horses I felt I had to go with today. You know, Aunt Lily trained yesterday, as did Freedom Hill. Between Jason Merriman, Jason McGinnis, and Dr. Latessa, they have everything under control. Jason always does anyway. And that's what I say. The one thing I love about Jason McGinnis is he's meticulous. And he's the opposite of me, right? I live in a world of chaos. You guys know that. You know, sometimes that's a feather in my cap, and sometimes it's not. And I like the fact that I know that everything will be proper when it comes to Jason McGinnis. He's a great guy in that regard and does a great job with the horses. So I'm interested to saying I feel bad for him right now. His back is so sore. He had torn a muscle in his back, and I was only in agony for a few days when it came to my back, and when I got shocked, it was fine. Not the case for Jason, and I can see the agony he's in. So I know he was in the barn the last 2 days working and getting the horses trained. I know that Jason Merriman was going with them. He's a super capable guy also. So in good hands, as they say, as I tour around with the girls and try and get other stuff done. But it was worth it. As I said, I was very happy with the way Kentucky went, happy with the way everything's going. And I think that when you look at the entries right now, we're kind of in a funk, right? And the horses are good, but they've all kind of got up a class or drew poor. Like Militant's a lock in that class, but he drew 8, right? And a couple of horses didn't get in for Wednesday that we'd hoped we'd get in. Then we're racing in the Adios at 10-1 morning line. You know, Blue Ventura's in tough. But I think that will all change as we get through next week. We get our first look at our Lexington starters. Those horses are coming in sharp as attack. And I'm very happy with what I saw. Anyway, I'll finish the 8 horse off with Patrick DePron. Another horse drew the 8-hole, right? Just kind of a ho-hum week where it could have been better. But I don't think anybody raced poorly. Yeah, Wednesday they did. They all raced poorly on Wednesday. Everything went wrong Wednesday. But aside from Wednesday of last week, everything was pretty good. Pretty good. I was happy with it. So with that, I'm going to let you go. The aged horses are done now. We're going to run through the 3-year-old. Yes, I can't give you an update. Time is on my side for a few hours, but I will do that soon enough. Take care.